Are you ready for some more fun with our Enchanted Winter quilt? It's time. Hi everyone, Cristin here, and we are continuing with our Enchanted Winter quilt with our sponsor, Daylily Fabric Shop. So yesterday we completed our first 2 blocks, yay! So we did Snowflake 2, which is the one that we need for section 1, and then many of us also did Snowflake 1 that is for section 2. How confusing is that, right? Anyway, so this is the one that we need for now. So if you only did one of them, no problem. Just make sure it's this one. All right. Hopefully I'm getting that right. But anyway, so save these for later. We're going to continue on today. So today we are going to work on the Mittens block. So the Mittens block is on page 40. There's 2 steps to it, and there's quite a few little notes that I've written about this one. So we'll need to pay attention to what we're doing. So I'm going to go over all of it step by step as I always do. So don't worry, you won't have any questions. We're going to walk you right through it. All right. So like I said, on page 40, and the first thing, like I said, it's going to be in 2 hoopings, and it's kind of different. We're going to start by doing like the string of the mittens. That's going to be the first step that we're going to do. And to do that, very important, we're going to use our wash away stabilizer. All right. So this is what we're going to have in our hoop, 2 layers of wash away stabilizer bigger than our hoop. All right. So I'll show a picture of that when we get there, but make sure you have your wash away stabilizer in the hoop, not your regular mesh cutaway stabilizer. We're going to want this wash away stabilizer, because we're going to make that string for the mittens, and then we're going to wash away all the excess topping. So the other thing that we're going to want, not the excess topping, the excess stabilizer. So the other thing that we're going to want is the topping. So wash away topping. We're going to put that over the top of this one. Like I said, is in the hoop, and then this one will go over the top of the project. And it's not the entire project. I think it's after on the second hooping, if I recall correctly. It's the part that's going to like hold that in place. I'll tell you all the while when we get there. Don't worry, each step will be on the video. All right, so for now, I'm just going to put these aside. One other thing I want to point out is that we're going to use marlin thread, but we're going to make a bobbin out of it. All right, so we're going to have our top and our bottom thread match for that string of the mittens. So make sure that you make a bobbin thread out of your marlin for this first step. Okay. So that's it for the important things to point out. There's others though, but those are the 2 I wanted to make sure to tell you about. So like I said, 2 hoopings. So one other thing is that when we get to, we'll go over all of the products that we need for today, but this one is going to be kind of the bigger hoop, like I was mentioning in yesterday's video. This one will fit in a 6x10, but there will be an issue. So first, let's talk about the products that we need for today. So if you made your packets, grab your packets for the mittens. So you can see that the mittens are on page 40. It's the mittens, it's for section 1. That's how I have my packets labeled. All right, and then I've got all the supplies for this one in here. So I'm going to start with our main fabric, even though, like I said, we're going to do 1 hooping that's just for the string of the mittens. That will be the first step. And like I said, I'll go over that step by step, but this is for basically for the second hooping at this point. All right, so our main fabric is this really pretty, I think it's going to go this way actually. So the lavender with little flowers on it, it's actually fabric, let's see, number 8, if that helps you. All right, so the lavender with little flowers on it, and we're going to cut this to 10.5 by 8.5 for our main fabric. 10.5 by 8.5. Make sure to back this big piece of fabric with your stabilizers to make sure that we don't get any puckering. All right, so you want your stabilizer, and your fabric is going to be 10.5 by 8.5 for this main fabric. All right, and then the next part we have are the mittens and base. So let's see, the base I believe is this one. So the base is this aqua fabric. So the Mittens base is going to be number 2 fabric, if that helps you. So number 2 fabric, it is a very light aqua, silky solid, no design on it. All right. And this one we're going to have 6 by 4.5, and make sure to back it with fusible stabilizer. So it does say in the notes, previously Kimberbell used to say to your appliques, it was optional. You could do it or not do it, totally up to you. The lighter ones, they've always recommended to use fusible stabilizer, but in the notes on this one, it's on every block now. On this one, it says use iron fusible backing to the wrong side of all fabrics. All right, just like I've always recommended. I've always said I like mine to, even the applique pieces, I like to have them stabilized, because it makes it easier for the cutting. It makes it so that there's little pieces not all over the place. It stays in place really well. It's just more hardy. So I like to do that anyway. So now Kimberbell is suggesting that as well. So fusible stabilizer on the back. This is your Mittens base at 6 by 4.5. All right. And then let's see, the next part is the tops and the cuff. So that is going to be this marlin, the silky solid, no design to it. All right. And it's a simple one. This is the tops and the cuffs. And this is going to be 6 by 5. All right. Make sure to have your fusible stabilizer. Like I said, it is an applique piece. I suggest it 6 by 5 for the tops and the cuffs. All right. And then the next one is the stripes and the thumbs. And this one is a teal silky solid. Again, no design to it, just a simple fabric silky solid. And this one is going to be 6 by 2.5 stabilized with your backing. Don't forget, I showed on that first video, I cut my stabilizer in by a 1/2 inch, just so that on the ones that are white or cream, it's easy to tell the front from the back. So whatever works for you, either way, stabilize your fabric. 6 by 2.5 for the stripes and the thumbs. All right. And that's all the fabrics that we have. We do have that wash away topping, and it suggests a piece that is 6 by 3.5. So I'm sure it's going to go over that string for the cuffs. So 6 by 3.5 for your wash away topping. All right, the wash away stabilizer, it just says the size of your hoop, or a little bit larger than the size of your hoop, because it's going to go in your hoop. All right, and then your batting for today is going to be 7 by 9 for your batting. All right, 7 by 9, pretty big piece of batting there. All right, for the second hooping. The first hooping, of course, will not have batting. All right, and then we are going to quilt this. We're going to quilt the second hooping. I know this is a little confusing, but you'll see when we get there. We're going to go through it step by step. But for that second hooping, we are going to do our quilting, and we're going to use Winter 7. This is a new design. It looks like snowflakes, flowers. It'll be fun. That'll be a good one. All right, so this is a 6 by 8 design. It's not directional. Winter 7, 6 by 8 design. And this is the one I was saying. So if you're using a 6 by 10 hoop, I'll probably use my 7 by 12 hoop. But if you're using a 6 by 10 hoop, you would think a 6 by 8 design is going to fit just fine. Well, it won't, because that 6 by 8 design is actually 6.5 by 8.5. So it won't fit in a 6 by 10 hoop. But don't freak out. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. So I showed on yesterday's video in the software section. So if you're bypassing the software section, I highly recommend watching it, or watching one of those videos that I mentioned yesterday. I have a lot of videos on my channel that are using a smaller hoop, and it goes over how to take out steps if you need to, or how to rehoop, or whatever. It gives you options of things to do. For this, since you're only 1/2 inch off, my recommendation, if your biggest hoop is 6 by 10, my recommendation would be taking out steps 3 and 4 of the quilting design. Like I mentioned yesterday, and I showed it in yesterday's video, it just takes out, when you take out step 3 and 4, so there's 5 steps to the quilting. The first one is the placement for the batting. The second one is the tack down for the batting. And the third one is the placement for the main fabric. And the fourth one is the tack down of the main fabric. And the fifth one is the actual quilting design. So that 3 and 4, so 1 and 2, they're 6 by 8. But 3 and 4, they're out 1/4 inch on each side to be able to put that placement stitch, the tack down stitch of the placement and tack down of the main fabric. And that will be 6.5 by 8.5. So like I said, you're going to know where to put it because you're putting it over your batting. And to tack it down, you can use tape instead of a tack down stitch. If it makes it, so those, like I always say, those are nice to have. Like I'm going to use mine. I'm going to use a little bit bigger of a hoop so I can get that tack down stitch. But if my biggest hoop was a 6 by 10 and it's going to make it so that I can't do this project, then I would just take out steps 3 and 4. And you can do that in software. I don't know if you can do it on your machine. I'm not absolutely sure, but it's super easy to do on software. So you would just take out steps 3 and 4, then the whole design is 6 by 8. So then it will fit in your hoop. And again, that's only noting all of this, that only for the people that have their biggest hoop is a 6 by 10. If you have a larger hoop, use it. All right. So let's see, what other information do we have? We're going to match the bobbin thread on that string. Don't forget I mentioned that. So you're going to use your marlin thread and make a bobbin for it. Let's see if there's any other notes. I wrote lots of notes on this one. We are going to center both files. So I'm going to bring you over to the computer and I'm going to put my quilting design and my embroidery design together, but you can super easily do that on your machine if you're not using software, or you can do them separately. So you would stitch out your quilting design and then load your next design and stitch out the embroidery. Those are both going to be centered. So it's not any brain science here. You'll be able to do that. All right. So either way, you can do it using software, which is what I'm going to do. And then I just send it to my machine and it's all ready for me. Or you can, on your machine, put in your quilting design and click the add button and add the embroidery design so that they're together using your machine, or you can stitch them separately. Either way works. All right, all of that is fine. Don't forget you need your wash away topping and your wash away stabilizer. We're going to do 2 hoopings today to be able to get that string. This has a lot of applique pieces, so we're going to do a lot of cutting. And then we're going to finalize visually centering the design and square the block to 8.5 by 6.5. Make sure not to cut your string, and I'll mention it again later. We'll probably tape the string out of the way to make sure that it's not in our cut line when we're cutting. Oh, and one other thing is after we do all of that applique pieces and embroidery and satin stitch and all of the things, at the very end there's a stitch that we are not going to stitch. It's basically for placement, for like digitizing purposes. So we'll leave that alone, and I'll point that out in photos when we get there. All right, so it should be a pretty easy day. It is 2 hoopings and it's a lot of applique pieces, so a lot of cutting. So just plan a little bit of time. We are going to work on this one today. And we have 2 blocks already done, so we're already jamming along. And I'm loving seeing the shirts that you guys did, the sweaters, that Enchanted Winter sweaters. So keep those coming. Share them in our Cristin Creates group on Facebook. I'm loving seeing that. And let's go ahead and get stitching. Okay, everyone, I'm at my computer now and ready to show you how to join. Super easy. We're going to just join our quilting design with our embroidery design. And like I said, you can do that on your machine very easily too. But I'm going to do it on my software. So I'm going to open up Embellishment Essentials. That is the software that I teach you how to use. All right. And it's on sale for another day. So check it out if you haven't yet. So first thing is I always look at what hoop size I'm on. I'm on my 6 by 10 hoop right now. So I want to go bigger because of that quilting design that I mentioned. So I'm going to use my 7 by 12. So I'm going to come up to this preferences folder, click on that and find my 7 by 12 hoop, say okay. And then I'm going to come up to this compass button and click H for hoop. All right. So the first thing is to bring in the quilting design. So we are using Winter 7 in a 6 by 8 design. So I'm going to open up my folder. Don't forget you can go to this merge stitch button and navigate to where you have it. I have my folder right here, so it's pretty easy. I'm just going to do it that way. So here's my Winter 7, embroidery files. Block by block is the technique we're using. Clear Blue's tiles is the one for specifically for the Clear Blue tiles. So block by block is the method we're using. I use Paz for my machine, and I want the 6x8 right there. I'm just going to click on it and drag it over, shrink down that folder so it's out of our way. Oh, that's pretty. Look at that. Oh, I love that. That's really fun. That is a really, I'm like thinking of all other things I can use this quilting design for. All right, so that's a good one. So see right here, so it's got our hoop size right here, and then right here it says the size of the design, and you can see that 6.5 by 8.5 like I mentioned. So I'm going to open this and real quick show you. So when I click here, see it's 6 by 8, that's the placement and the tack down for the batting. And then the placement and the tack down for the main fabric, that's when it jumps to 6.5 by 8.5. And like I said, you could easily just copy those and click delete on your keyboard and not use those. Use tape instead. And that makes it so that if you need if you need to use your 6 by 10 hoop, that's the way to do it. Super easy. All right, so we brought in our quilting design. Now we need to bring in the mittens design. So I'm going to open that folder again. Again, you can go to the stitch file instead if you, merge stitch file, that's it. All right, so I'm just going to go back and go to Enchanted Winter and our designs, embroidery files, Pez, and we're looking for the mittens. Where is it? Mittens. Thought I just saw it. There it is. Mittens 5 by 7 part A. So part A, that's going to be the little string, the mitten string. We don't want that right now. We want the B, the second part of our second hooping. All right, so the mittens itself, not mittens part A. We're going to want mittens part B right here. So that mittens part A is a 5 by 7. We can use our 5 by 7 hoop. And actually, I should send that to my machine while I'm at it. But for now, I'm going to open up that mittens part B right there and just drag it over and see it goes right to the center. And we do want both designs centered. While I'm here, I'm going to click File, New Page. And I'm going to open up that mittens part A because I need that to my machine also. I'm going to change the hoop size, because this one we can use a 5 by 7. Say okay, and I'm just going to send this. So my machine has been finicky on sending stuff. Let's see if it works. I'm going to say utilities Wi-Fi to brother. I found a workaround, and I'm not sure if it's in Brilliant. See, it's sending an error whenever I try and do this, and I'm sure that if I just reloaded Embrilliance that it would work, but I just haven't had the time to do that. But I found a workaround. So if I do a save stitch file as instead of just stitch file, if I do both stitch and working, save as stitch and working, and let's see, I'm in my file, so that's perfect. So I'm going to say mittens A, save it, and then watch. So instead of Untitled 2, now it says mittens A, and it likes that. My machine likes it, or Embrilliance likes it. So I can go to utility Wi-Fi to brother, and I can send mittens A, and it works. There we go. So I found a workaround rather than having to reload Embrilliance. Sometimes when I just restart my machine and Embrilliance, then it works too. But for some reason, I'm getting this error message, and I'm sure if I just reload Embrilliance, that probably would solve it. So anyway, so here we are. We've got the quilting design and the mittens design. I'm going to take a quick peek because if we've got the default twice, so we have robin eggs a couple of times, blue, orange, turquoise. So we don't have that default blue. Oh, we do have it twice in here. So, but we don't need to do a color sort. If we were going to do a color sort, then we would have to change one of these so that they don't join together. But I'm not going to do a color sort actually, because there's no need. We're just doing one file today, one block today. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save it as, save stitch and working file as, and I'm going to say mittens quilt because it's got the quilting with it. And actually I'm going to put the size of my hoop so I remember when it's time to stitch what hoop size I need. So I have 7 by 12 mittens quilt, save it, and see it names that untitled tab. And then I'm going to say utility Wi-Fi to brother machine, and it sent it. So that was super easy. Just all we need is the quilting file and the mittens file. We don't need to do a color short. We don't need to move anything. And that's that point. See this little stitch right here? That's that one that we're not stitching. You can see they put that there when they were digitizing so that the mittens would be centered within the quilting. So that worked out perfectly. So super easy today. Let's go ahead and get stitching. And my shirt today, I love this one. So I bought this lavender sweater. It's one of my favorites. I like it. It's a little big on me, but it still is really cute. I really think it's fun. But I found this sewing machine design, and it's just the sewing machine on Etsy. But I saw it and I was like, oh, I can do fun things with that. So I immediately started thinking of ideas. So I put lots of rhinestones on the sewing machine, and then I added the wording. So I used Embellishment Essentials, so easy, and I bought different fonts. And it says she works with her hands in delight. And then I added the verse, the scripture, Proverbs 31:13. So I think this is a really fun sweater, and it's super comfy. The sweater is from Amazon. It is in my storefront. I will add a link here to my Amazon storefront. You can find all of the sweaters that I recommend in there. Very easy to find good ones for stitching on. And the design is from Etsy. I will add it in the video notes underneath this video toward the bottom. I will add that. It is from Etsy. I found it on Etsy. It's a really cute design. I really like how it turned out, and I love that I got to personalize it. So I'll add that information in the video notes. And how are you doing with your challenge? Did you make a goal? Did you create a goal? And are you working toward that goal? I want to hear about it. Don't forget to share in the comments on the YouTube channel. Tell me what your goal is, what you're doing toward it. I want to hear about it like every time you watch a video, because I'm going to tell you how I'm doing. I want to hear how you're doing. Accountability is important, right? So today I did 3 workouts. I did a walk like a little less than 2.5 miles using my weighted vest. I have a 12-pound weighted vest to help with my bones. Many of you know I'm on this cancer pill that wreaks havoc with your bone density. And so I'm doing all the things, strength training and wearing a weighted vest and all that. So I did that. It was a good workout. I use on my treadmill, I have iFit. And so I'm doing this Boston Marathon. They broke it into 8 sections of like 5Ks. And so I did that. That was good. And then I did a strength workout with another iFit trainer, Hannah Eden. It was nice and short, but I can already feel it. It's funny. Like I get so sore that I have to like lower my body onto the toilet. Like my legs are like, ow, 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 ow. Have you ever had that much pain? Like, oh, it's not fun, but it's good because it means you're working hard and it's paying off. So I did that. That was my second workout. And then my third one, I got back on the treadmill and I ran another part of the Boston Marathon. And I did, I think a little more than 2.5 miles, right about that. I don't remember. I basically ended with right about 5 miles. I don't know exactly, but so that challenge that I'm in, remember I told you that a friend added me to this challenge, and it's all men and they're strong and so good. And I won the challenge the first 3 months that I was in it. And this one I'm like really lagging behind because I was out of town the first week of October. And so I went from last place. Now I'm in 7th place. And there's 10 people in the challenge. So I'm not far up from the bottom, but still I'm working on it. But the top person is like 21 miles ahead of me. I mean, I've got a long way to go. So we'll see how it goes. Either way, the key is that I'm running my race, right? I am working on my goal. It really doesn't matter what someone else is doing. Our job is not to compare. It's always to do our own thing and to work on our goals and the things that we want to improve about ourselves. So that's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it. I love the endurance that you build, the strength that you build, but also those endorphins. So when you work out, your body gets filled up with these endorphins, which are like happy pills where you get energy. That's one big thing. Like on days that I don't work out, I'm like, well, I don't want to do anything. Like seriously, can you see? I'm a pretty hyper person, and yet when I'm not working out, I'm like a bump on a log for sure. So I love the energy that it gives me when I work out. So I did my good workouts today, all 3 of them. Tomorrow, I'm sure I'll be super sore, but I'm excited to work on our project together. And I'm really excited to hear how you're doing with your goal.